So thank you very much for the invitation. Sorry for these little trouble things at the beginning. We need to talk to the Teams team. But okay, let's start. Let's start with the next session of the Preview and Defender Days. The one of these great virtual events. My name is Raphael. I'm from Germany, and the next session here is Double-Key Encryption, the Microsoft Hold Your Own Key solution. And I'm very happy to be here, and I can give you some information about me. I'm sitting now in Germany, in Cologne, so some 1,000 kilometers away, but it's working with Microsoft Teams, and I will talk about double-key encryption, one of these mostly requested and interesting solutions here in Europe when we talked about data privacy and information protection. And this is very, very interesting also for me, because I'm on the one hand, I'm the owner of a consulting company, and on the other side, I'm one of these group DPOs. So I'm the head of the data privacy office of an international car builder company, and we have also some plants in India. And I talked to my Indian colleagues yesterday and the day before about some of these solutions. So I'm very happy to be here. Next time in India, only 10 hours away from the last time, and talked about this double-key encryption solution. So let's start. I have only around some minutes, so let's start and go forward. Introduction. What is double-key encryption? And for me, I see double-key encryption at the beginning when I have to explain it to the typical people, not to us as an IT guys, the typical people that I said, okay, double-key encryption is an information protection solution in our modern workplace. And it's not a new one. We know double-key encryption. It has another names, RMS and RMS encryption before. So we know it from the beginning of Microsoft Right Management. We have some of these double-key encryption solutions, and Microsoft renamed it to Microsoft Purview Double-Key Encryption. So it's a technology and it's a thing that we know for a long time and that we need, and for some special solutions in our modern workplace. Normally, we are working together, internal and external, and we deliver our results. You see here, let me take a pen here, my laser pointer, and we are working together, internal and external, and we are delivering some things like new contracts on the legal side, new configuration solutions, for example, for Defender, which are also sensitive for our firewalls and all of this. And we are working together, and maybe we have also the community which comes together like today. And in all of these modern workplace solutions, we need a solution, or we have the requirement that we need a solution to protect our deliveries, protect our results when we are working together. And mostly the results are so sensitive that no one from the community, and also mostly the external ones, needs access to us and wants to have access. They want to have, but they don't need it. And we need to prevent them to have access. And mostly when I look back into the last 10 years, we had these recommendations in the modern workplace, mostly from national authorities, from the army, for example, from high regulated companies. So we are talking today in a modern workplace in a high regulated company, for example, like us in the car builder industry, or for example, in the weapon industry, and also, for example, in the worldwide international companies. They are a part of the trade market, so that they invest millions and millions. And when something happens, for example, they had lost a lot of millions when, for example, some information leaked outside. So we had this discussion mostly in this area and in this area of a modern workplace. So we don't talk about the middle market often. We talk about high regulated companies, mostly international companies like my company. with, for example, our plants in India, and we have some results like Defender configuration logs, like special IP, high regulated information, how to build something, and all of this. And this modern workplace, we need to protect this. So we have the recommendation to protect something, and so preview is the right way to do this. And we will learn today more about how double-key encryption works, how we can implement it, which solutions, how much cost, which is my recommendation, and how it works in production. So on the one hand, I implemented in these modern workplace double-key encryption in the last 10 years around 100 times. And it is in production, and you think a little bit about it, it's a little spoiling the session. And in production, is it 3 times. And before we tested it for a long time. And all of this. So let's go a little bit forward. When we talked about double-key encryption, and I was also on Ignite and on Build for the Microsoft Preview team. And I take here 2 slides out of the official slide deck. So you see here that, yeah, data security is mostly and high recommended for every company. And we see here, for example, when people moving data via email, via messaging, via cloud apps, devices, and everything can be leaked or can be downloaded and all of this. And this is a little bit of telling you more about the recommendation. So we need to secure our files itself. That's what Microsoft Information Protection do. And with double-key encryption, we have an add-on to this information security solution, and we see a little bit what don't happen, what we want to prevent, and what don't will happen. So I take this slide with me, and this is very interesting when we see in this modern workplace a little bit on detail. We have chat, we have email, we have everything of this, and it is really interesting to talk about it, how we can prevent it. And this is, for example, one of our recommendations itself. And when we see some of these real world corporate espionage situations, that can happen too. So that we have insider risk, and that's also Microsoft Preview solution. We have DLP, and in all of these surrounding DKE is one of these topics. We can use DKE also as an add-on for DLP, for example, for prevent that data will leak. For example, when you sharing outside a DKE protected file, no one can open it at first. And when someone will open it, they need a special infrastructure for this. So it's for me also a little bit in combination of a DLP solution. When it will be leaked, we can prevent it on a highly situation. So let me go a little bit forward. This is something also for the slide deck we will share later via the conference, and have a look where we have these DKA solutions. So I talked about it. We talked about different topics today about the Preview family. So when we talked about, and let me take a pen. So DKE is a part of this here. So of information protection, insider risk, and DLP. So part of the data security. So we are here in this Preview family or Preview conference family. We are here at the information protection add-on with DKE. So we learned a little bit at first. So information protection. When we see here, and this is the official slide from the Microsoft Preview information protection team from the last Build conference, where I hold my session about it. And when we see here, and go a little bit deeper, we see here that we are a little bit missing the DKE functionality because I deleted it. So I can paint it here. So when we see it here, the right management services and data classification service together, when we put these together, we can put here, this is DKE, okay, writing. That's why I want to use my surface, but it's not working. But here, this is a DKE solution in combination with a classification part. So it's very easy that you know that we need a label, for example, the confidential label, which will be connected with the right management service, that will be connected with the DKE service, and together with labeling, for example, a Word file, we can protect this Word file not with the RMS service, and this in the background with DKE with the double key encryption. So we have two keys. I will talk a little bit later about it, what are these two keys and what we handled it. So at the end, it's not a container label. At the end, it's not a label for your Teams team. It's not a typical label, for example, for your calendar or for your Teams meeting. So DKE in this solution area is a typical label for files, for Word files. We will see a little bit later what it happens or what we can do in the future, beginning in August. But today it's a solution for Office files, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and you can encrypt this with these two keys. In the surrounding of double key encryption with a key on Microsoft side and a key on our side, on the customer side, we had, and this I bring it to you because it's in English and it's very new. It's around 30 days now that Microsoft works together with our national authority in Germany, and this is the newest and the first white paper. And here is, I put the link in the chat a little bit later, but let me check. I'm on another device now, but let me check if it works. We have here a link, and yes, I see that the links were working. Yeah, the links is working. When I look here, and I put the link in the chat that you can download it. This is the newest version of a DKE white paper. This is newer than the documentation, and this is newer that we all see, for example, in our tests. So this is the newest summary of DKE, which is the first one I know that it's in combination, that is created in combination with Microsoft and the national authority. And this is totally cool. This explains a little bit what we do today. So, but at first, let me share. Where's Teams? Give me Teams. And why it's not working? Why it's not working? Okay, I will share it via the other device into the Teams chat because Teams is not working. That is totally crazy. Okay, I will share it in the chat a little bit later. But this is the first time we see that the national authority, and this is in German, so sorry, that the national authority has also a press release worldwide, the first time a press release about DKE and with this white paper. And the national authority is our national authority about information protection and security. And these, together with Microsoft, published these white papers. So this is really, really cool, and really the first time that the national authority works together and bring together something about double key encryption. So let's go forward a little bit. Let me check. My Team's not working on Windows, but I will post it after my session. Okay, let me go a little bit deeper in DKE. What is DKE? We learned about it that we have two keys. One key is RMS key at Microsoft Azure and the Azure keyboard, and we have a second key under our control. With different options we can use, or we can store our key. So we have double keys. We need both keys. We need the typical Microsoft key when we are using Microsoft's own solution, for example, without RMS encryption, without DKE. And on the other side, we have the second key, which comes from us in our HSM module. And with both keys, and when you have both keys and access to both keys, we can encrypt and de-encrypt content, which is really cool. And you don't need, so you can prevent third-party access, and also you can prevent Microsoft for access to these files and these information. And it's very new since 2 months that also when you use double key encryption with a label, you prevent Microsoft itself to get access to the content. Also with support and on all scenarios, Microsoft guarantee when you use DKE that Microsoft don't have any access to the content. And this includes also when I'm telling you that's no access from Microsoft, that for example, there's no access from search, and there's also no access, and I tested this in this last week to prepare for this session, no access for Copilot. So DKE is a solution to prevent data processing with AI solutions like Copilot. So when you're labeling a file with DKE, Copilot don't proceed these data. These data are not a part of the document DB and are not a part of the semantic cache too. So double-key encryption is very interesting, for example, for these high regulated companies that said, okay, we want to use Copilot, but we want to prevent and we want to guarantee that these data don't proceed via Copilot. So this is double-key encryption. And that's why I also said, okay, let's talk in this conference about Purview. I can talk a little bit also about Copilot too. So, but we have some, these are that you can't use it with Copilot, this content when a file is labeled with DKE. You have some more advantages or disadvantages on the other side, which are very interesting, which you need to know about double-key encryption. So let's go a little bit forward. The beginning is, like at Microsoft, every time you need a license. And here you see on the left side, these are the licensing packages in which the DKE service itself is available. Which that means is that Microsoft gives you the option to activate the DKE service with a Microsoft key, but it's not included your key and your solution to store your key. So you have both keys, so Microsoft keys and the service is activated and it's allowed to use DKE service with its licenses. On the other side, you need a license for your key. So your own HSM model or your provider, which gives you your key and the DKE broker or connector to the DKE service. So this part of the licensing is only for the Microsoft service. So only for the first key and for the solution that it's possible to decrypt and encrypt a file with DKE service. On the other side, it's very interesting. I get the feedback from the Microsoft licensing team last week too. I double checked it that I asked, okay, who needs this license? And everyone needs a license to open, view, edit, or delete files which are protected with DKE. So also guests need a license. This is a little bit different to other Microsoft solutions that they said, okay, you have a principle like 5 guests to 1 license. So in this rounding of DKE, and this is also my recommendation, the guests need also a license. I will talk a little bit later about it. So you have a license, and with this license, you can use a DKE service, but it's not like activating this license and you have the DKE service. You need a little bit more than this license. So what you need from Microsoft, you need the license and the service will activate it in the tenant. That's today not a problem anymore. It was a problem, for example, last year that you have to decide, do you want co-authoring or DKE? But starting this year, and I was a part of the private preview program, DKE and co-authoring and these PureView features in the background are possible at the same time in the tenant. But yeah, co-authoring is not working with a DKE protected file, but it's also possible that you have co-authoring with the RMS typical standard default solution, and you have an additional DKE as an add-on. So with the licensing and to activate it, you need an URL from the DKE connector. And where's the DKE connector? Is it the one from Microsoft? No, this is everything on the customer side. So for the second key on the customer side, you need, out of my recommendation, a VPN to the Windows laptops, to the DKE connector and the HSM solution. You need the HSM module as hardware in your in your company, for example, or you need an infrastructure as a service provider who gives you the hardware, so you can use that hardware via his or her or the data center of the provider. You need the DKE connector that connected to the URL. So DKE connector is you get an URL, and this URL you can put into the PureView labeling portal. So you need the DKE connector, which gives you the URL for the Microsoft portal, and you need the licensing for Microsoft for every user. So you need a little bit more on your side than you have the license and activate, like you need RMS encryption or you need a DLP, you activate it and configure it and ready. No, you need a little bit more on customer side for DKE. On the other side, when you need this infrastructure in the background, we will have a look a little bit later on the architecture slide. On the other side, it's very interesting. Before you started with, okay, I brought two HMS models, like high secure models, hardware, or I go to a provider and order it. You need to see, okay, what is supported. So supported today, 100%. Is Office files. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, for example, is supported. You need a Windows system. So I switched to this Mac system. I cannot show it to you today. So you need a Windows and you need the MIP client or the native Microsoft 365 apps. This is supported since this year. So last year you need the MIP client as a Hartley recommendation. Today you can use M365 apps in the newest current channel version that is working with DKE. There was a private preview ended in March. So we have August. In August, it works also with the half-year ring one, which is published in July. So M365 apps, so the Word one is also possible. It's included, or you need the MIP client, this third version, to use DKE with PureView to decrypt and encrypt Office files. What's not possible? It's not possible online. So when you want to open a DKE protected file online in PowerPoint online, in OneDrive, in SharePoint, it's not possible. You need to download it, and then you can open it on the Windows desktop. That's a little bit why I said co-authoring and DKE don't work together. No, it's not working. So you can't work together online in a DKE protected file. I tested it last week too. No, it's not possible. Microsoft is working on it, but today it's not really possible. And you need Windows. And yeah, hopefully in the future we can use also Mac, but let's go on the next slide then. What's not supported? Not supported fully and is mail flow rules, anti-malware and spam protection, and all of this is not supported. So when you use DKE, the file is, and also the email in the future, and you see here, email encryption only, or do not forward, is not supported today, but in the future, email will be supported with DKE like S-MIME or OpenPGP or PGP solutions, but it will prevent anti-malware or spam protection for this email, which will be encrypted, because no Microsoft tool can have a look in it. That's a part of this solution. Also, it's not supported search. Microsoft Delve, eDiscovery. So with an eDiscovery admin, you can't have a look into a DKE protected file. Also with a special right of investigation of eDiscovery is not protected. So with DKE, you prevent also eDiscovery. Content search and indexing, yeah, it's not working. Office web apps, mobile apps, not working. Copilot, no support for every Copilot we have. No Copilot own solutions, no OpenAI, nothing is working together with DKE, and co-authoring is also not working. So you see, DKE protects your file from a lot of processing the data. It's an advantage for a little parts of the solution. On the other side, it's also a disadvantage, because you can't have a search, for example, for all DKE files or what is in the DKE file. You can't work online together. So you need to work on another workflow with DKE files. So as a result of this, at the end, when you ask me, okay, Raphael, you're working productive with DKE. Yes, I do. How you work with it? Yeah, I work with around 3% of my files are protected with DKE. For example, my digital copy of my ID card is DKE protected. My high sensitive customer files are protected with DKE. If we have a timesheet, this is not DKE protected. So 97% of the files are not DKE protected on my system. Only these very, very few files. So I have a look in my system in the morning. DKE protected are around 100 files. That's okay, that's less than 2%. So when we see it, I have around 1 terabyte of files that are around nearly to 1 million. So it's 0.003% of files. So very less I use DKE protection. That's only the files which I want to prevent against every AI system, prevent against the provider, Microsoft, and against every third party wants to have access. So this is a little bit of the surrounding, and what happens, but there are some good news. I'm working a lot with some also high regulated customers together, and Microsoft, and this is a good news, are working and developing DKE also. So when you heard around and when you look around you, everyone or a lot of companies are testing DKE, but it's not in production. And this is a little bit of the problem here. Microsoft don't develop so fast new DKE features because we don't have enough customer using DKE. So when you want to help to develop that Microsoft develops more and more DKE, please implement DKE so that more and more customers use it in production. But yeah, what is new and what will coming? So the first one I told you a little bit before. It starts in June and it's now fully rolled out in every tenant. When you are using DKE, no content, no information will be sent to Microsoft. No content analyzing, so optional connected experience, nothing will work with DKE. And it's a data privacy solution. So when you want to prevent the content and the files from Copilot, from connected experience, from analyzing via Microsoft services, you can use DKE. Now it's fully supported that nothing works, so nothing analyzing, nothing, no data will be sent to Microsoft, no content will be sent to Microsoft when you have a file which is labeled with DKE. On the other side, which is also new, DKE is supporting the new preview portal. That is good. That you see under settings, you see a little bit information about DKE, and with the new preview portal, you can add DKE to a label, for example, to a high confidential label. That's also possible now. It started in May, but it's also rolled out. What is new, and this is a little bit what I liked. I'm also part of the private preview program, but now I can talk a little bit public about it. We will have Outlook and email support, and it starts in August, so in this month. It starts with the email support and the email protected content with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and now Outlook to publish and to share content. So we have these in a private preview, and now it's public preview, and now it will be implemented that you can protect content with DKE in your emails too. This is really great. What is also in private preview and the most wish of the most companies and high regulated international companies is support of iOS. Yes, we have a private preview, what we are testing with, for example, an iPhone and an iPad, which is not one, and Mac OS too, so that it will be also supported with Mac OS. And at the end on roadmap is also, I don't see a private preview today for Android and more support than only Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files. So for me, when I use DKE, I used mostly Word and PowerPoint and Excel and don't use emails so frequently. I tested it 3 times, but I'm using Word, Excel, PowerPoint. But you have to think when I said, okay, DKE is not a fully workplace solution. No, it's only for your high sensitive and high regulated files, which no one will be seen and which no one needs access to, and you prevent from Microsoft, you prevent from, for example, also the national secrets services. Then DKE can be your solution to protect the files, to prevent every access to these files. So that's a little bit about how it which you can use for and how it works a little bit. Which you can use, and this is a little bit of comparing it. You can use it in the Office apps labeling. You can use the file labeler in the Windows Explorer. So you can use right click on the mouse with the MIP client, said okay, label it with DKE. It's also possible with PowerShell. This is cool. You can make a little bit of automatically labeling, and it's also possible with the information protection scanner with the E5 licensing. You need the E5 licensing too for DKE. You can use the information protection scanner, and I use it last week for a bunch of files, around 100 files from a company. We protected with DKE automatically with the information protection scanner. This is also possible. What I don't recommend, and I tested it and it works, but I don't recommend is a default label for a SharePoint library. Yes, it's possible. You can make a default label with a DKE protected label as a default label for a SharePoint library, but please don't do it. For me, out of the practice is do it manually and do it with high sensitive of using these. So when you have these highly recommended file or highly confidential file content, then use it manually, right-click confidential with DKE level and fine. Automatically, and DKE is a little bit like in the retention part with preview retention labeling with these regulatory retention label. It's a little bit like a DKE. I can't recommend the automatic labeling. I use the scanner only because we know all files in these NAS folder we want to label with DKE because it's when you use DKE you have a lot of disadvantages. So use it only for these files you want to pretend, and don't use automatic labeling. It's possible, but please don't use it. That's as a highly recommendation from me. So a little bit deeper how it works for the next minutes, and a little bit of comparing and no marketing slides, how it works. So these are the 3 options on your side, on the customer side, when you want to use DKE. You can test it. This is really easy. You can test it with an Azure Key Vault, where you put your key in, and you have these GitHub repository. This GitHub repository, it's 6 years now old, this GitHub repository. You have the code, and you have the code also for the DKE connector. So you can I implemented in 3 days now. You can implement your own DKE HSM module solution and DKE connector solution in Azure. That's not really difficult. When you do it the first time, I need around 4 days. So today I do it in 2 to 3 days. So it's really easy. You need Key Vault, you need the server, you need add also VPN every time, a little bit of network infrastructure, and you need the keys. But at the end, it's not really difficult. But when you see here, this is a little bit of one of the solutions I use for testing. So this is when you look into the tables, the first one, cost by 3 years around 15K. Is in my test area, so it's around 15,000 for Azure infrastructure, for Azure Key Vault HSM. So the biggest and highest Azure Key Vault solution you can order, the DKE connector and everything. So for years you can plan with 15K. I activated for testing only, so for 3 years, I have around $200. So it's also cheaper, but it's only for testing. If you don't do it before, it's difficult. So I said around 1 week for do it, and you need Azure BG, M365 E5, and VPN. VPN is not a part of the official solution, but I'll talk a little bit later why you need VPN. Then you have the second one and the third one. The second one is you board your own HSM model. You can board your own model for your company, for example, HMS model that's in part of hardware. It's like a key server where you store your key. You can create your keys, and in combination with this, you need a little bit software of controlling this hardware, and you need the connector, the DKE connector. Yeah.
Hello, Raphael. Sorry to interrupt. I think I just want to remind there's 5 more minutes left for the session.
Yeah.
So
I know.
Thank you.
Oh, fine. Thank you. You need these HSMs or high secure model solution, and this you need 2 servers, so 2 hardware servers. We're looking at it on the market from Thales or Entrust, for example. It costs you around $100,000, so $50,000 per server module you can put in your company. You need 2 to 3, so 100 to 150K. Implementation time and order time for the hardware currently is 6 months, so you need 1 to 6 months to implement it with your own solution, and it's recommended for production, but it's with the solution with the highest costs. The other one, which I recommended and we are using, and all solutions I know in production are these solutions with a solution provider. It costs around 150K plus M365 software every time, M365 licensing every time for the service. It's very easy of implementation because the service provider like Thales or Entrust gives you the key, the software, gives you the keys, gives you the connector. So DKE connector is also an add-on at these solution providers. It costs around 10,000 to 25,000 for 3 years. And the implementation works 2 days because for DKE solution, I know the guys in India, I know the guys in APAC, and also the guys in Europe. For example, from Thales, I worked here with Thales together, and they help you to create the key and connected their HMS module with Microsoft DKE. So you're getting URL, you can put it together, and they work with you together. That it's very easy. And that's also recommended for production. So at the end, for the rent of the hardware, the data center you want, so you can use a data center, for example, in India, in Germany, in Frankfurt, for example, or we have something in Singapore. And then the software for controlling administration, the hardware is 25,000, including the DKE connector for 3 years, and then M365, E5, and VPN solution. So the most companies who are using DKE using this one. Okay, where's my pen? Yeah, using this one. And I know only 2 companies worldwide. They are using this one with their own model. So the most one and recommendation is, you're searching for Thales or Entrust and use one of these solutions from these 2 ones. So at the end, how it works. And yes, I told you a little bit, we go deeper in techniques, and here for the last minutes, and here you see the Thales module, and let me go to the laser pointer here. You see the Thales model. We rent in the data center in Frankfurt, for example, and we said, okay, we have the black key, and we have the second key. For 1 key we put into one key is from the Azure Key Vault, and 1 key is from our Key Vault, our HSM or Thales Luna system. And we have the Thales Luna Key Broker to the MIP client, which creates the URL, and the URL we put into the portal. So we have 1 key from Microsoft out of the RMS key, the typical RMS key, and we have our key. And with the MIP client, and also today in the Office clients natively, we can use to protect or to encrypt the files. On the other side, we can encrypt, and this is how it works. Encrypt a little bit. It encrypts also the metadata, but it's a typical encryption workflow. The file goes to Thales1 and said, okay, we want to encrypt the file, then encrypt the metadata of the file, and then it goes to Microsoft, the information protection service, takes a second key, and the second key will be also protected. So you need both keys to open the file, and Microsoft don't have access to our key, to the Thales one. So yeah, Microsoft don't have access to our content, to our files. That's so granting the DKE broker or the DKE yeah, connection service has only the availability to our Thales portal, not to the key, and the Thales portal controls the key, so no access for Microsoft or every third company like services like NSA or CIA has access. Encryption is the same way around, but here we are starting with the Microsoft RMS key and the decryption of the key, and then a second one we are looking for Thales or for the Double-Key service, and then the Double-Key service bringing the key back, the customer key. So by encryption at first customer key, then Microsoft key, and back as at first Microsoft key, then our key, and at the end we can open the file, we can edit the file, and then we can work with this DKE encrypted file. At the end, I said, okay, what do we need, or for which regulations we need, and this is the last one to finish a little bit of my session. Do we need the double-key encryption itself? Do we have a regulation worldwide that says we need double-key encryption? I found two. That was one in China for IT critics information, and there was one that's a little bit worldwide for weapon systems. And when you are a weapon producer, then it's highly recommended a DKE or a similar solution from other companies. And this regulation you see here, DKE supports this regulation, so you don't need DKE to fulfill GDPR, for example, but it helps you to fulfill GDPR because, for example, you learned today that Microsoft don't have access to the content, so you are protected your personal information with DKE solution. So this is really cool. And at the end, my recommendations, give external users a full M365 account and E5 licensing. So use an external users like an internal users when you're using DKE. That is highly recommended. Test at first with this Azure solution. It's not very, you don't need so much money for it, and it's very easy to implement. But you can test how it works in your company, and if your users can work with DKE. And on the other side, and this is highly recommended, but it's not a part, and it's not a part of the documentation, use VPN. Use VPN between the HSM model with the keys, the DKE broker, and the devices, the Windows devices, or in the future also Mac devices, where using DKE. So this is highly recommended. This is the solution that it works without a VPN. It's not really stable on the one hand. On the other hand, you need a tunnel to your HSM model, which I recommended. So using VPN, so I acted VPN, and with VPN I can use double-key encryption. So at the end, thank you very much. Hopefully I told you a little bit more about DKE. And when you have any questions, send me an email. Ping me at the chat, hopefully you learned a little bit about using DKE, and I will put the link to the newest white paper of DKE now in the chat.
Thank you, Raphael. Thank you for this wonderful session. Really helpful, and thank you to the audience. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat.
Feel free.
Yeah, definitely. And you can reach out to Raphael over LinkedIn as well for any queries you have further. With that said, we'd like to thank you, Raphael, once again for having this wonderful session and having a deep dive on DKIM. All right.